Good morning and welcome to Fibrosection. Bling 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 bling. I'm recording this today in my bedroom because Holly's doing a workout in the lounge, and plus it's a bit of change of scenery, isn't it, really? So this week's Fibrosection is going to be on letting go. Now this one follows suit from the guilt Fibrosection. So if you haven't seen the Fibrosection on guilt, I will link it above. I will try and remember to put it in the description. Check that out first and then come on to this because it follows on from it. Now I've got a notepad full of notes so excuse me again for referring to them, but I've done a lot of research on this. And some of it also comes from my pain management course that I did. So bear with while I'm saying all this. But I think this is a really important one to follow on from guilt. So I wanted to cover this first. And I know a few of you have asked me for other Fibrosections, which I promise I will be doing, but I can't do them all at once. So just stay tuned and bear with, and I will get there. Right, so let's get into this one. To let go is to release the images and emotions, the grudges and fears, the clingings and disappointments of the past that bind our spirit. Bind, that's quite a strong word, isn't it? So that's letting go. Fibro brings with it a lot of guilt, which is what we found out in the last episode. We feel guilty that we are struggling. We feel guilty that we can't always do certain things, and we feel guilty for asking for help. Guilt is a horrible emotion. It can wear us down and greatly affect self-confidence and esteem. I think everyone will agree with that. But why should we feel guilty over something out of our control? So this is what we went all through in the guilt section. We need to let go of what we have no control over. Invest your energy into what you can control. Your health must come first. When you realise this, the guilt should drift away and you can let go. Focus on one day at a time. Stop dwelling on the past, on what could have been. Stop worrying about the future, as it's something you can't predict. And that's very true at the moment, isn't it? Focus on the here and now. Live your life to its fullest. Make the best decisions for you that will hopefully help you to let go. If you're fatigued, then rest. If you are hungry, choose foods that will nourish your body. If you have some energy, maybe go for a small walk. This is all basic thinking, but it is a step closer to acceptance. Your mindset needs to be, what will be, will be. That's really important. What will be, will be. There are 3 stages in becoming ill. So the first one is denial. The second one is grief. And the third one is acceptance. And you can go from stage to stage. You can progress up through the stages, but you can also dip back into them from time to time as well, which is all perfectly normal. And even though personally I am at acceptance, I certainly go back to grief. I don't think denial. I suppose sometimes denial is when I'm saying, you know, oh, I can do that, that's fine. But more, I dip back into grief. But mainly I'm at acceptance. So I still have bad days, like I say, where negative emotions creep in, like the grief. But mainly I am at acceptance. So you can get there too. You can. You can do it. I believe in you. Let's start with step 1, denial. Imagine your fibro or chronic illness is this big snarling beast that you've got on a leash, okay? You're holding this snarling beast on a leash. The more you fight against it, the more it retaliates to you. And the more you pull on the other side or the other direction, the quicker it catches up with you. But what would happen if you loosened the grip on that leash? Would that snarling beast get quieter and walk alongside you instead? Denial is ignoring the illness the best way you can. No, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. I am able to do everything I could before. No, I'm fine. Then what happens? You do it all, you crash. Getting through this, letting your beastie walk alongside you, is the first step of letting go. Okay? And seeing your little beastie, the more you retaliate, the more you are in denial and saying, no, I'm fine, there's nothing wrong, it's still going to be there because it's part of us. And that's going to always be there. So the more you're like pushing it away, the more it will come back to you. Whereas if you just go along and say, okay, I'm accepting this, I don't like it, but I'm accepting it, it'll be okay. And imagine the beast is now calming down to maybe being a little dog or a little cat, you know, whatever you prefer. I'm a dog person myself, as you know. So maybe mine is a little Westie, a little doggy, and it's just going alongside me. But the minute I start going, right, I'm going to do this, that and the other because I don't, you know, there's nothing wrong with me, it's going to be this big snarling monster going, right, I'm going to attack you. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Right. Step 2. Grief. So, let yourself grieve. You need to be able to grieve for your former life. It is a natural step, and going through this step is both necessary and healthy. Grieving also involves acceptance, both of the current reality of what is now and what has been lost. I would say it's a normal and necessary feeling, grief, absolutely. But personally, I don't like to stay with it too long because I feel it overwhelms me. So I have been through this, and like I say, I do dip back into it, especially on flare days. If I have a flare day, I just grieve for how I used to be. But there is a big but. I've got a big but. I don't think I've ever been a person that's been particularly healthy in their life. So because at one point I read my mum's old diaries. She let me. I didn't just nick them. She let me read them. And when I was reading them, I was ill an awful lot. And I know a lot of that was because I worked with children. So I was building up my immunity to all the bugs and illnesses that they brought into the nurseries. But I do feel that I have always been a bit of a poorly person, not a massively well person. So yes, I had a lot more energy before I got fibromyalgia and ME. And yes, I didn't have all the pain. So for that side, I grieve for my old life. I miss working, as you probably have seen from watching my vlogs. I miss working so much. And the people that say to you, oh, you're so lucky being able to stay at home. I mean, at the moment, hello. Now you can see what it's like. Staying at home 24/7 isn't fun. So it's all right for a short time, but then you're like, right, I'm over it now. I want to go back to work. So yes, I do still dip back into grief. But like I say, I don't think it's healthy to hang out too long in grief. I think it's important for you to process. I think it's important for your body to process and your mind to process that grief, but it's also an important step into the next one. So step 3, choose what is important. Pre-fibro, you may have been very house proud, and if people were visiting, made sure it was tidy. That is an important part of you, and your value will still be the same. So even though we have fibro and we've got probably other things with it, it hasn't changed our values. What's important to me? So I am still house proud, but I do have to let things go a little bit sometimes. But it doesn't change the fact that I am still house proud. That value has not changed. I am still a very big family person. That has not changed. So my values are still the same. I'm still me, okay? Even if the likelihood is you might not be able to get it all done. So, is it more important to spend time with family and friends, or wasting all your energy on some cleaning that only you notice? Because at the end of the day, that's it, isn't it? Unless you've got a granny that comes along and does that on your windowsill, you know, looks at the thing for the dust. It's only you that's going to notice that and feel good about that. As long as it's generally, you know, they're not wading through piles and piles of clothes and rubbish, and it's fairly tidy, then does it really matter? And the other thing is, you can't control what people think of you. So you need to let that go too. You can't control that. People are going to have their own opinions of you. And however much you might want to control that, you can't. Your family and friends would much prefer to spend time with you than your clean house. They're not coming to spend time with your clean house. They're coming to spend time with you. Step 4, letting go. So this is the hardest step, letting go. And I do mean of everything. Wishing for more supportive friends or family, bitterness over your life now, disappointment that life is not how you want it to be, judgment of others who don't understand. Just let go. Because the more you hold on to all them negative feelings, the more pain you will cause, the more fatigue you will cause. So just give a big, deep breath, meditate, go. And blow it away. Step 5, practice it just is. The trick that helps me most of the time, because nobody is perfect, is to repeat it just is. There is a certain magic wrapped up in these little words when you learn to make them a part of your daily mantra. This mindset leads to power and peace. Saying it just is demonstrates you are choosing to let go what you can't control and choose instead to focus on what you can. The mind sets the tone for what is happening in the body. Fibro pain levels can be intolerable when the mind is engaged in resistance, worry and denial. They all ramp up the stress, and the stress ramps up fibro symptoms. When you let go and choose to view things from it just is perspective, it will help to ease the fibro symptoms. It's not going to make them go away, because if it was that simple, I'd be a flipping millionaire. But it's going to help. It's going to ease some of your symptoms, because what does stress do? Stress causes pain, all right? So then the last step will be acceptance. And like I say, that is where I am now. That is why I'm trying to help all of you to get there. And yes, you will dip back into the others. But acceptance is not saying, oh, well, I've got that, so that's tough. It's not what I'm saying. Acceptance is saying, fibro and ME is a part of me. It's a part of who I am, but it's not all of me. So it's now my little dog, my little Westie, running alongside me, and I'm trying to keep it happy and trying to make sure that it's got everything it needs. And by doing that, I am doing a mixture of everything that I try to teach you. So all my fibro sections, it's keeping me going as a whole. That is not saying my little Westie, my little doggy, doesn't go rah every so often, because it does. And a classic example of that is what I've just filmed before I filmed this, saying that I did some exercise and I am suffering today, and I suffered last night. And I'm not saying that any exercise does that to you, but I must have tipped my body over the edge and my little doggy just went rah into the beast. So even though I'm at acceptance, that doesn't mean I'm not going to suffer with pain and fatigue still, because I am, because I'm human and I make mistakes. And sometimes I'll have a flare up for no reason whatsoever. Usually I can pinpoint, oh, that's the weather, or oh, that's stress, or oh, that's this, or that's that. But sometimes, no. So don't think being at acceptance level means that you're going to be cured, because that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when you accept it, you can then try to start living your best life, treating your body as a whole, and getting in the right mindset. I hope this has all helped. I really do. That's all I'm trying to do, is help you. If you've got any questions, comment below. If you've got any tips, comment below. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and the bell to be notified every time I upload. And I will see you all on Saturday for the weekly. Take care, and I love you lots. Bye.